Hi, everybody, and welcome back to COM 1160. This is week 13. I can't believe this is the last week I'm going to be saying welcome back like I do at the beginning of every video, but we finally reached the end. This week we're going to be looking at a course review, and next week you're going to be completing your final assessment. For this week, I wanted to bring you just through some information about the final assessment and review a few items so that you're well prepared for the final assessment. So this week, as I've just mentioned, we're going to be going over what you'll need for the final assessment. You can choose to watch this video at any time before you complete the final assessment, but I'd recommend at least watching it a few days before you attempt the final assessment so that you have time to gather any materials that you'll need. Next week, the final assessment is to be completed before midnight on December 18th. I'm sorry, but I can't go any later than the 18th. I know that next week is a killer week for you with all of your exams, but I'm hoping that the information that I'm providing you with today will get you in a position where you're well prepared. I'm also considering releasing the final assessment early so that those people who like to work ahead can do so. You can complete the final assessment whenever you wish, anytime before December 18th at midnight. It is our very last item to do for this term. So congratulations, you've made it through nearly all of the work. The first thing we're going to be looking at the final assessment is APA format. And you're going to be asked to paraphrase or direct quote using some APA citations. This part of the assessment is almost exactly like the APA number 2 assignment. What I'd suggest in preparing to complete the assessment is that you review your APA number 2 assignment and make sure that you understand where you've made any errors so that you can correct those when you're doing the final assessment. It's also going to be very, very important to use your cheat sheet on these questions. Here's a sample of what you can expect on the final assessment. You might be given a sentence like, Siamese cats are known for their playful personalities and high levels of intelligence. And some additional information letting you know that this is from a book titled Cats Around the World, written by Amber Heard and Johnny Depp in 2017. Your instructions for the question would be paraphrase all or part of this sentence using the appropriate in-text citation. So your main thing, again, with this section is to make sure you know how to do those in-text citations, that you know how to navigate through the cheat sheet, and that you differentiate between paraphrasing and direct quoting. For most people now, you've had a lot of experience with APA. This first part of the assignment will be quite quick and easy to do. You're also going to be asked to summarize. So I'm going to ask you to go back and review the documents from week number 6. So I'll ask you to go into the file for week 6 and take another look at that stuff. Of particular importance is to review the format of a summary. Okay, so remember we talked about strategies for summary writing, and we talked about the fact that they take a specific format. It might be useful to print out or have this handout open when you complete the final assessment so that you can refer back to it to make sure that you're following the strategy. Here's how this part of the assessment is going to work. You're going to be given an article to read, and that's going to be downloadable, and you're going to be asked to write a summary of that particular article. The summary that you write should follow the recognized strategy, and it should be of a paragraph, so say about 6 to 8 sentences or so. It's important to remember that summaries also take in-text citations. So very important that you identify who the author or authors of the article are, what year it was published, so that you can complete the appropriate in-text citations as you're writing that summary. The article that I'm going to give you is fairly interesting to read. It doesn't require any great specialized medical or dental knowledge to be able to read through it, but it is an industry publication. I would expect that it would take you about 30 to 40 minutes just to read through the article. So budget on that amount of time when you're completing the final assessment. Finally, you're going to have a section on business writing. In order to prepare for this section, what I'm going to recommend is that you review the 2 strategies that we talked about, direct and indirect strategy. You want to make sure that you know the difference between the 2 and what the purpose of the direct strategy and the indirect strategies are. This question is going to be a critical thinking question. So instead of being asked to produce a piece of business writing, you're going to be given a sample, and you're going to need to assess whether it is effective and indicate why or why not. So you're going to get a fake piece of business writing that somebody has done up, and I'm going to ask you to critique it, to tell me whether it's good or not, and then to explain your opinion. A couple of tips for the final assessment. When I give a final assessment in class, students generally finish it within 2 hours. Please do not spend more than 3 hours on this assessment. Okay, so I'm expecting that you should be able to complete it within 2, but I would say if you're going far beyond 2 hours in preparing it, you're maybe going into a little more detail than what's required. I also think it's important that you know that there's no traps or tricks. This final assessment is designed to let you show off what you've learned. So it's more for you to showcase everything all of the skills that you build, rather than trying to test you out or catch you on things that you don't know. I'm going to wish you great good luck in completing the final assessment. I will do a short video next week just to introduce the assessment and, believe it or not, to say goodbye as you finish the course. But I want you to remember as you head into this heavy week that you do have this week and the time, our 3-hour block of time that we spend on COM 1160 simply to review and to get ready, and even to get started on the final assessment if you choose to. Remember that you don't have to complete the final assessment in one sitting. So you can do one portion of it, put it away for a couple days, come back to it, do another portion. It doesn't matter. But if you decide, like I said, to sit down, try not to spend more than a 2-hour chunk on it. Okay. As usual, I'll be available for our course chats. So if you're having any problems or have any questions as you're working through your review this week, please drop by the course chats, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Try to stay happy and healthy these last couple of weeks. I know it's brutal. You will make through it. You're going to really deserve this holiday that's coming up. And I'll talk to you next week.